everyone, this is Beth, and this is another Frauds Fairy card, and we are working with Lys of the Shadows. You can kind of think of her as the patron saint of social workers, therapists, anyone who works in addiction issues, healers. Did I say therapists? I think I did. All those kind of professions. They're the people that work with you to heal your soul. And do some deep healing of shadow. She deals very, very much with the shadow self and that which we don't really want to go into. All those unfun problems, that kind of stuff. That's where she comes in. Keywords for her would be healing the shadows, addiction, self-esteem, self-care work, working through trauma would be another area. That really, when this book was published, we didn't talk a lot about trauma, things like that. I was still kind of back in the days when they were starting to realize that things like post-traumatic shock disorder just wasn't, from big things like going to war and stuff like that. Because I grew up with that being called shell-shocked from World War I. So that's what you got when you went to war and came back all goofy. Because they didn't understand how to work with it as well as we do now. Not that we really know how to... It's a big deal, and the human brain is extremely complex. And Lys deals with those kind of issues. And it can be... She tends to show up in one of two ways, and it really depends if you are the social worker, healer kind of person. Energy workers too, who help people work through shadow, are going to see her show up not so much as something you're working through your own shadows, but as your patron fairy, as someone showing up to help you do your job. So she can show up in the aspect. She also can show up as someone who's there to support you to work through those things. I've had her show up in both ways for me, really, when it comes down to it. She represents a lot of healing and a lot of deep healing. This is not like these the traumas and dramas that are your life that need help. Like those stories you tell yourself from childhood that may or may not really be relevant or true at that point. Those are the things she can help you heal. Those shitty childhoods, all that kind of stuff. She's very compassionate, and she's not showing up as a healer for you too. Renewed self-esteem. If you have self-esteem issues for whatever reason, she'll really be there to help you move into them and work towards that goal. I feel like she's one of those cards. There's certain fairy cards that are almost like so very personal, because each shadow story is so your own. Mine is mine, yours is yours, so-and-so's over there is theirs, and Mary Jane's is hers, and Timmy over there's got his. They're so personal and complex that it's hard to generalize with this card, because you can say these basic healing keywords, but when you start working with this deck on a long-term basis, they will show up. And they will show up in very visceral ways in your life. And if you do spiritual journey work, stuff like that, yes, they have shown up in the other world. The Dark Mother and himself presided over me being skinned in one journey. That was really interesting. So it's very internal, this card, and it's hard to explain. You have the keywords, and they feel so inadequate for what Lys of the Shadow can do for you. It's very brilliant and very lovely. She's not, and this is the helpline troop, and the helpline troop is very nice. They're very friendly. They're not gonna like, boom, take that. She's not gonna give you a hard lesson. She's gonna help you try and ease that lesson. is also what she's going to do. She's not here to make it rough. She's here to help you heal. And by making it rough, it doesn't help you heal. It's not at times we get stuck in that story and we can't let it heal, because this is what defines us. This is how we know ourselves. And that can be a really scary thing, to let go of what defines you. That's something she can help heal. The terror in the night, the abuse, those are all things that fall under her umbrella. And she'll give you, a warm fuzzy blanket and a cup of hot cocoa or tea or whatever it is you want to drink, and help you work it out. And when she's contradicted or upside down, you're going to be stuck in that emotion. You're going to be stuck in that cycle and that addiction. And not really able to let go of it. I love, my handwriting is so crappy sometimes I can't read. I'm like, what is Lonnie lonely? Loneliness, isolation. It's like, yes. So loneliness and isolation can also show up when she's contradicted. And, I say in the era of COVID, this is the one that makes you feel like you can't reach out. That if you speak to someone about it, it's not going to be okay. I would say too, like if you're having suicidal ideation, you definitely need to reach out. And if she's coming in and you're having those thoughts in your heads, you need to contact someone. Call a hotline. I don't know, I just got so emotional. But yeah, she would show up in that kind of stuff. For that kind of thing too. So if she's showing up contradicted and you're having some serious problems, contact some professional help, or at least call a friend. Because, she'll help you through it. She will guide you if you listen to her. And the fairies are like, we are not... I have this shouting in my head at the moment, and it's always kind of funny when this happens. We are not a replacement for medical help. It's like they're not a replacement for professional help. If you need a real therapist or a suicide hotline, or any kind of hotline, they're not a replacement for that or a real person. They are a guide though, and they can help you. So this kind of stuff is aimed to guide you and help you through that stuff when you're to a point where you can do that. I mean, having been depressed to the point where getting out of bed is like a major deal. I get it. There are times where everything is too much to do. And pulling a card's not going to make it better. Having some more faith is not going to make it better. Going and exercising is not going to make it better that day. But they are things that can help you acknowledge and know as you lead up into those things where you might turn off before you get there. It can help you see those kind of things as they're starting to show up in your life and things like that. Very much use tarot and oracle cards, especially the fairy cards, for that kind of stuff in my own life. Of working to know, it's like, oh, hey, wait. And they'll often catch things before I do, because, you're living your life, you're doing your thing, and you're not always paying attention to what's going on mentally, physically, and stuff like that. So yes, the fairies are not a replacement for professional help. Remember that. Anything, whether it's health healing, mental healing, any of that kind of stuff, they can help you, guide you, but they are not a replacement for real world help or real world people either. So with that, I'm going to end Lys of the Shadows, and you go out there, have a wonderful day, and be the love in the world.